Believe it or not, it has been a full year since Mario & Luigi Brothership released, and almost a year and a half since my insane reaction to the game's announcement.
Wait! Is this Mama Luigi failed for hours?
Man, it's just kinda crazy that it's been a full year since the big year of the Mario RPGs concluded. That was such a fun time to be a Mario RPG fan. So, I wanted to talk about how Brothership holds up a year later, now that my impression of the game has marinated like a Billy Dog in mayonnaise. I would have to say, my enjoyment of the game wasn't just in the honeymoon phase. There were certainly some games that I absolutely loved at first, but kinda lost interest in, and forgot about over time. But Brothership is not one of those games. I still think this game is excellent, and was the grand return of the Mario & Luigi series that I was waiting for. And I would say that this is actually my new favorite game in the series, slightly above Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story. I know that's a bold claim, but I really love this game. There are a lot of things that I really appreciate about this game. The story was great, nothing mind-blowing for an RPG, but very good for Mario standards. I really liked the world building of Concordia. It felt very fleshed out, and there was a lot of attention to detail, and I really liked how each of the islands had a distinct and creative theme. The characters were also very memorable, especially Snoutlet, the Extension Core, and one of my new favorite Mario villains, Reclusa. Reclusa was such an amazing character. And I want to see Acquire do even more crazy and interesting ideas for villains like that in the future. And the fact that they also retained the continuity with the other Mario & Luigi games, with things like Starlo and some of the enemies reappearing, was also great to see. I was a little worried that there wouldn't be much connection to the other Mario & Luigi games at first, since this was developed by Acquire. So it was nice to see like a lot of connection there. It did really feel like the next Mario & Luigi game, which was pretty nice. And the battle system easily has the most depth in the series, with the Battle Plug system basically functioning as this game's equivalent to badges. It was just really fun to use, and it made the battle system just feel really satisfying overall. And I even like the Luigi logic moments as well. They have some cute animations involved with them, and they break up the monotony of bosses without feeling too forced. And I also like the side quests as well, since they fleshed out the world pretty well and actually felt meaningful, which is something that I wanted to see in Thousand Year Door's Troubles. And the soundtrack is also great despite having a different composer. It was unfortunate that we didn't get Yoko Shimomura back, but it was understandable why she didn't return, because I think she is busy with Kingdom Hearts 4. But Hideki Sakamoto's compositions sound really good. Not quite as good as some of the other soundtracks in the series, especially Dream Team, but I still thought this soundtrack was very solid, and there are a lot of standout songs here. And despite the fact that I love this game, there were a few issues that I encountered. Like, I won't deny that the pacing is very slow. I feel like things could have gotten started a bit quicker, and I feel like the game could have been 10 hours shorter. It takes way too long for things to get started. Like, you don't receive your hammer and first bros attacks until about 2 to 4 hours in, and you don't receive the main new gimmick in battles, the battle plugs, until the second area of the game. It's just a bit weird, and I really hope Acquire kind of improves on that aspect in their next Mario & Luigi game, assuming they're gonna develop another one, hopefully. And on Switch 1, this game has some performance issues. Like, it did get a bit laggy and choppy at some points, especially when there was a lot going on Ship Shape Island, and the loading times were too long as well. But thankfully, it does run well on the Switch too. Unfortunately, it's still 30 FPS, but it's a stable 30 FPS. Hopefully it does get a 4K 60 FPS patch at some point for the Switch too. But that doesn't really excuse the performance issues on Switch 1. I feel like things could have been ironed out a bit more, because there are a lot of games that are optimized a lot better on Switch 1. And then there's the fact that you use A to select Luigi's attacks. It felt pretty jarring sometimes. I did kind of get used to it in my first playthrough of the game, but going back to the game after a while, I kind of have to remember that again and kind of get back into that. It still is just a bit jarring, I would say, after like every other game in the series. Use B to select Luigi, and you also use B for the action command for Luigi, so it's just a bit weird, I would say. But another thing that I wanted to talk about is the reception and legacy of Brothership, because it seems like the reception of this game actually seems to be pretty good despite the controversies at launch. Back when the game released, I did do a bit more people onlining since I still use Twitter and was really worried about the game's legacy or people losing interest in the Mario RPGs because of the negative reviews and Twitter discourse. And in retrospect, I feel like I really should have just ignored those people and enjoyed the game, because I feel like that is really the most rational thing to do in that situation. But even looking back on this, 1 year later, the game seems to be generally well received. Not on the level of Thousand Year Door and Bowser's Inside Story, but it seems to be considered one of the better Mario RPGs. I don't know if that's because I'm heavily involved with the Mario RPG community, which might be a bit of an echo chamber, or the fact that I don't use Twitter anymore, but most of the people that I've encountered seem to be enjoying the game. I've even seen some people who didn't like it at first enjoy it later down the line. But even then, regardless of this game's reception, I'm still gonna enjoy it regardless. I don't really care that much about what other people think. Like, I'm not gonna spend 10 months making a video attacking an IGN reviewer over it.
Calling the story generic is such an oversimplification that it kind of makes me question this reviewer's intelligence and literacy.
And finally, I wanted to touch on the sales a little bit, since it sold about 2 million copies. Technically 1.97 million as of March 31st, but it's likely over 2 million at this point. While I would have liked to see this sell more than that, it did release a couple months before the Switch 2's announcement, and was released shortly after 2 other Mario RPGs. I feel like this game could have easily sold 3 to 4 million if it was released about a year or two earlier. But I still think Nintendo considers it a relative success, and I do think we will see more Mario and Luigi games from Acquire. I think they might even be developing the next Mario and Luigi game for the Switch 2 right now, or at the very least, new content for Brothership for a Switch 2 edition. And I'm also personally hoping for a remake of Partners in Time, because I think that would be a great way for Acquire to continue to get used to working with the Mario and Luigi formula. But anyways, those are my thoughts on Brothership after a year. Still just an absolutely incredible game, and up there as one of my favorite games of all time. But let me know what you think of Brothership down in the comments, and anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!